Greetings, kindergartners and families. I just wanted to come to you tonight. It is Monday night, and I just got home a little while ago from being at Bernie. I saw many of you at Packet Pickup. I missed a few of you. You got there before I did. Nonetheless, it was good to see those of you who I did. Still wearing my Hawaiian shirt. We were dressed for Hawaiian Day. I want to apologize. I meant to get out a craft project for you last week, and I just didn't get to it. I'm starting to feel the lull of all this at-home learning. So I'm not immune. We're still at our house. We're working on it with our kids as well, and been doing some different trainings online for my professional growth. And so anyhow, it just didn't happen. I don't have really any excuses. But I do have a story for you for Memorial Day. Memorial Day was last Monday, a week ago today. And usually that's kind of the last holiday before school gets out. And everyone is ready for that holiday. It's just a Monday that we take off of school. This year it kind of came and went, and we didn't really feel it because we've been home for weeks. So in the future, I promise, kindergartners, when you're older, whether you're in school or you're an adult, you'll really feel this holiday because it's a day off in springtime. But as I always say, if we're going to take some time away from school, we have to understand why. Why do we get to have this time? So Memorial Day is a special holiday, and we think about the people who serve our country in the armed forces, and we remember them. Memorial, we remember. And so one of the traditions that's an old tradition is to wear a red poppy on your shirt or your lapel. And so your art project is to make a poppy flower. Those are in bloom in Walla Walla right now. You could find them. They're pink or orange or kind of fiery orange red. Sometimes they're white or yellow, purple. They're beautiful, and they have these lovely petals that are just kind of lacy. And so our art project will make that. But before we make the poppy, I wanted you to understand why is the poppy something that we wear on our lapel for Memorial Day? Not everyone does it. It's an old tradition, but some people still do. And so if you see that happening, you'll know what that means. They're remembering. So I want to read you a story today. It's called The Poppy Lady. The Poppy Lady, and it's written by Barbara Elizabeth Walsh. And it's a story about Moina Bell Michael and a tribute to veterans, people who fight for our country or serve our country in the armed forces. Maybe they've lived, maybe they passed away, but that's what this story is about, is the people who travel the world to keep our country safe and to keep people around the world safe as well. The Poppy Lady, Moina Bell Michael, written by Barbara Walsh. This story is nonfiction. It's about a real woman who lived. I'm not reading from the beginning of the story because there are a lot of really big ideas, and it might be a little tricky for kindergartners, and so I'm kind of skipping around a little bit because I can. Nonetheless, it's a really good book to read. At night, back over 100 years ago, the President of the United States called to the nation and said, we're going to go to war in Europe. So this was World War I. It's a long time ago, over 100 years ago. And Moina vowed to do everything she could for soldiers. She wanted to remember them. Back then, only boys could be in the Army or the Air Force or any of the other services, Navy, Coast Guard, Marines. Only boys could do that job. And so a lot of the boys left college. They had to leave. Even though they were students, they had to leave so they could go fight in the war. But Moina wanted to remember them. And so one way that ladies could do that, Moina knitted socks and sweaters. She rolled bandages for the Red Cross. And then she enlisted her friends, and students came to say goodbye. She sent them a little remembrance to take overseas. But Moina wanted to do more. Yep. So back then they rolled bandages. That's like if you have to wrap your leg because it's hurt. It's made of cloth and you wrap it around. Oh, she wanted to do more. She delivered books and magazines and candy to the soldiers' camps nearby. She and friends invited soldiers home for dinner. And I felt privileged to give my best welcome to these boys in my country's uniform, she said. Friendly person. And when it was time for them to leave, Moina went to the train station to see them off. And my heart was thrilled, and was thrilled with pride for their bravery, courage, and cheerfulness. They were so young, she said. They were so innocent of the dangers they were going to face. That's another way of saying they didn't know how scary it might be or how brave they were going to have to be, but they did it anyway. But Moina wanted to do more than deliver books, more than go to the train station and wave goodbye. She wanted to do more than roll bandages. To become a canteen worker for the YMCA and help soldiers overseas seemed like a perfect idea. She could listen about home and family and serve food to the men on leave from the battlefields. Yeah. She successfully completed the course, but was told that she was too old to go overseas. She was going to go overseas where the soldiers were, and they said, "Nope, you're too old." Does that sound like something someone tells you? You're too young. You can't do that. You're too young. Well, they told her she was too old. What's she going to do now? Moina refused to give up. What could she do? Yeah, she said, "Send me. I want to go. It might be dangerous." So she decided to help the soldiers before they left for war. She set up a desk in the basement of a hall where soldiers, sailors, Marines, and secretaries came during their free time. Every day brought privileges to serve men and women going overseas, each to face the submarine-infested Atlantic and the gas and bombs and shrapnel of battlefields. Ooh, dangerous. But as winter approached, the large room turned gray and gloomy. The soldiers deserved a brighter, more comfortable place. And Moina knew just what to do. So before they went off to war, she wanted them to be able to get together and visit. With the small amount of money that she earned, Moina bought fresh flowers and she placed them around the room. More soldiers came to read and to write. Others came to spend time with family, friends, and even their sweethearts. Kindergartners, so often they would hang about near the desk waiting for just a bit of attention. They wanted to have conversation, and Moina was happy to look at photographs, listen to letters, and share the latest hometown news. But she wanted to do even more. Looks like a nice place to stay and visit, hang out. But she wanted to do more. One Saturday morning, a soldier left a magazine at her desk, and Moina turned to a marked page to find a poem written on that newspaper. The poem was bright and in color. Spirits of soldiers floated high above the battleground, covered in white crosses and bright red poppies. No memory of who rested beneath the red poppies was there, but Moina knew what she had to do. So kindergartners, war can be kind of scary and people have to be brave. And like I said, this happened over 100 years ago, and that this was a place where the soldiers were buried. But it was beautiful, even though that might sound like not a good thing. It was beautiful because it was covered in poppies. Let's see what Moina does. Well, she read that poem. She read that poem slowly, just the last verse. And she said, "Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw." That rhymes. foe throw. The torch be yours to hold it high, if ye break faith with us who die. We shall not sleep though poppies grow in Flanders fields. Poppies in Flanders fields. To Moina, she could not forget the soldiers who fought and died. She turned over the envelope and she wrote a pledge, ending with a promise. She knew just what to do now. Kindergartners, with their $10 check, these soldiers announced, I shall buy red poppies, and I shall always wear red poppies to remember the soldiers who died in Flanders Field. And so they did. Moina went poppy hunting on the streets of New York. It never occurred to me the difficulty I would have in finding pretend poppies. She couldn't find the real flowers. She wanted to find the artificial ones. They weren't real, but you could keep them for a long time. They wouldn't die. At last, at Wanamaker's department store, she found one large and 24 small red silk flowers. They were made out of a really fancy fabric. Moina pinned one on her cloak collar, and then she hurried back to the YMCA. She found a poppy just like was in the field. Do you see poppies on their jackets? Nope. Because this was a new tradition that she was starting, kindergartners. It was evening and the room was quiet. Moina placed the large red poppy in a vase on her desk, and she handed out 23 smaller poppies to the men and women leaving soon for France. She watched as they pinned them on their uniforms. Still, Moina wanted to do more. She would not stop until every American wore a poppy to remember the soldiers. Always. Oh, do you see all their poppies? Yep, they're getting them pinned on. There's Moina. So this is a part of the book called the epilogue. So there's more to the story, and it says, 2 days after Moina bought the 25 poppies, World War I ended. Yep, the war ended, but the tradition carries on. People, even today, you'll see some people wearing their poppies on Memorial Day or any other patriotic holiday, sometimes on the 4th of July, Veterans Day. And so if you see people wearing poppies, now you understand why. It means something. They're remembering the people who served our country. So this is the story of the Poppy Lady. And I'm also going to send along the craft project. How do you make a poppy? Okay. Kindergartners, I hope all is well with you this Monday, and I will be in touch. Have a good one. Bye-bye.